Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wal aqibatu lil muttaqeen wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. In the last lecture we learnt about the Arabic alphabets, the huruful hija, and also we learnt about the meaningful words known as kalima, plural being the kalimat. Then we studied three types of kalima, and they were ism, fi'l and harf. Ism, first and the foremost, is the name of an object, a person, a place or an act. Now in the end I asked you a question, that in English to use a noun in a sentence, what you are supposed to know grammatically about that noun. That is the only thing important, singular or plural. The number of the noun, you must know it. For example, man goes, men go, army goes, people go. What do you understand by this? You cannot use the noun in a sentence unless you know the usage of that noun in English regarding its number. You know, this is very clearly singular and men is very clearly plural. Army and people both are collective nouns. Why I brought these examples, these two examples? Both are collective noun, but the usage of the word army in English is singular, and the usage of the word people in English is plural. So why I used in the present tense? In the past tense there is no difference. I go, she go, he go, I went, she went, they went, all are went. But in the present tense that number counts. So that is why I selected an example of 4 nouns in English, all being used in the present tense as third persons, and that made it clear that man goes, men go, army goes and people go. So that indicates that people is used as plural in English, army is used as singular in English, although both are collective noun, and this is obviously man is singular and men is plural. In Arabic language, you know, one of you said that gender is of importance. Gender in English is hardly important in the construction of a sentence, but in Arabic 4 things are important and they have to be in your knowledge before you use a noun in a sentence. The first thing that you are supposed to know about a noun before you use it in a sentence or you use it in an Arabic construction, first is that whether it's a definite noun or an indefinite noun. Definite oblique indefinite. In Arabic you will say whether that noun is ma'rafa, nakira, ma'rafa. Don't call it nakira and ma'rifa, but they are ma'rafa and nakira. Second that you are supposed to know about a noun is its number, and as against English, in Arabic you will call it adad. And keep in mind, in Arabic there are 3 numbers, in English there are only 2, singular and plural, but in Arabic plural form starts from 3 and for 2 there is a separate form which is known as muthanna. Number 3 is the gender. In Arabic you will call it jins. Number 4, last but not the least, rather the most important in this connection is i'rab, the status of the noun in the construction. Status, or in Arabic this is called i'rab. This is the classical feature of the Arabic language with the kasra of hamza, not arab. Arab is a different verb, that is also an Arabic word, but it has different meanings. Yes, brother?
In English we have proper noun and common noun. Does it follow anything in Arabic?
The better word for that is definite and indefinite. The type of this, then we will find the first category will be the proper noun and common noun. The proper noun will be actually the type of marfa. The exact translation of the word marfa is definite. You have got some concept of marfa and nakira, definite, indefinite. To say, you can say proper and common, but don't keep that in your mind. You have the concept of number, although there is a change that here the number are 3 instead of 2. You have in mind the concept of jins, the gender, plural, masculine and feminine, obviously. But this is something very new for you. So we will start from the Arabic, so that you come to know that what the Arabic language is. And here is the beauty of the Arabic language. You know, when I say the status, what does it mean? You know, in a sentence, when there are different nouns used in a sentence, they are in different positions. Their status is different. One is subject, the other is object, still other may be in some indirect position. That in English, it's the arrangement of this sentence which tells you that one which is coming earlier is the subject and one which follows the verb is the object. But it can be other way around also.
We can make the object as the subject, by putting it.
No, that is
before the
passive
verb.
voice. Don't change the verb. In that you have to change the verb. The passive verb has to be brought. One is to give right. One is right to be given. So the verb changes.
Alright.
In the active form of verb being the same, is there any possibility to change?
Question. And question now.
Yeah. No, not in question mark.
If we change the sentence into passive voice,
No, there's he has already said.
The verb has to change, right?
No, without changing the verb.
In English?
Yes. You add some preposition to the object. To me, he gave the pen. Normal construction is he gave me a pen. But you add to before me. Now, to will indicate that this is the object. Now, you can replace it from here to there with to. If you have got some indication, then you can bypass the arrangement and you can express the same idea in the same verb.
The verb is followed by subject, object.
The normal arrangement is first the subject, then the verb, then the object. But in this, the object has been brought earlier. To me, he gave the pen. There are two objects in this sentence. Me is also object, pen is also object. But one of the objects was brought earlier, but you have to have some indication. Remember, in English language, you have to add some indication apart from the noun itself. In Arabic language, this is the classical feature of the Arabic language, that you are not bound to the arrangement of the sentence. The expression of the noun will be in such a way that that expression will tell you that this is whether the subject or the object or something else. This is clear from English. If you want to have a parallel example of i'rab, that is the cases in the pronoun. For example, I was going to office. My car broke down. A friend gave me ride. Who is this? No. When I am saying, say, this is my name, Abdul Sami, or any one of you is saying that his name, say this is I is Abdul Sami. Who is this? And who is this? But why three different words? No. I have used for myself three different pronouns, although the person being the same.
It is because of the status of the noun.
Of course. My status in this sentence is subjective. I am in the subjective position, nominative position, so I use the nominative form of the first person singular pronoun. This is also first person pronoun, singular, first person singular. This is also first person singular. This is also first person singular. Person being the same. When I was in subjective position, I use the nominative form of pronoun, nominative case of pronoun. In this sentence, my position was secondary. You know, the verb is broke down. Who broke down? Not myself. Car broke down, but unfortunately that car belonged to me. So in secondary position, I was being mentioned. So the possessive case of the first person singular pronoun has been used. Then in the third sentence, first the verb, gave ride. Who gave ride? A friend. Whom he gave ride? Me. So I am in the objective position. My status is that of an object. So the objective case of the pronoun was used. You know, now this change from I to my and my to me, this is actually comparable with the change of i'rab in Arabic language. This is the i'rab. This is the nominative i'rab. This is the possessive form of i'rab. This is the objective form of i'rab. You know, here when it is the specific objective case has been used. Now suppose somebody asks you a question, whom he gave ride? You can say, me he gave ride. Now when me cannot be used for the subject, so if I bring this me earlier to this, grammatically the sentence will be okay. Our objective in studying i'rab in Arabic language, and this is the main thing, the one to whom this concept of i'rab clicks, he knows Arabic. It may click him in the first sitting, in the first class, in the fourth or fifth session of the class, but the moment it does, Arabic is open to him. Until it does not, Arabic will not be open to him. So be very, very clear about this. Me can be brought earlier. Me, he gave a ride.
Me or to me?
No, it's not necessary to say to me. For example, Ahmad gave Muhammad a book. Now, if you want to bring this earlier, you will have to bring two. Otherwise, when it is obvious the me has been used, then it's not necessary. In certain cases it may be required. That is the requirement actually of the verb sometimes. Some idioms, they require that the idiom is only meaningful when that particular preposition is there. In that case it is necessary, but in the case of give, it's not necessary to have the preposition afterwards.
If instead of Muhammad we had me,
Then you can do. Then you don't have.
follow this rule then.
Yes. No, no, actually that is, you know the English better than me. But I just want to convey the concept that if the object has got in itself, the noun in itself has got the indication of being the object, then you can move it from there to there.
Location can be changed.
But in otherwise in English normally noun doesn't have the indication in itself. It is either the arrangement or it is the addition of some preposition which makes you aware of its status. Is that clear to you? I have said the same concept in other words. That normally in a noun in English, in pronouns is not the case. The pronouns there is specification. But in nouns normally, noun itself doesn't have the indication. You will have to have additional indications. Now I come to the Arabic language. Muslims, Muslimuna, Muslimina. Now when you are using this word Muslims in an Arabic sentence, you will see whether in that sentence the Muslims are in nominative form, possessive form or objective form, and accordingly you will choose. Muslimun also means in English Muslims, Muslimin also means Muslims, and this Muslimin obviously is also Muslims. But to use them in Arabic language, you have to be clear. Before you use, you have to be clear that in which form or which status that noun at that particular moment is. Okay?
What is the difference between the two Muslimin?
Just read.
Muslimin pronounced.
The words are the same. You know, in English, we took the example of the first person. In first person, the nominative form is I, possessive is my, and objective is me. And in first person, third person singular masculine, you have got he, his, and him. But in third person singular feminine, you have got she, her, and this is also her. With practice, you differentiate between the two. With practice, you will differentiate. When in the context, you will decide that okay, this is whether the possessive form or the objective form. Just like this. So nothing to worry. But every form, you cannot say, you know, when there are separate words like this, then you can say, oh, it is either the possessive form or the objective form. But when it is in the construction, you have to decide, you have to know it. There will be only one form. For example, I gave her the pen and this is her pen. When you know English, you understand that in the first sentence, the her is the objective one, and in the second example, the her is the possessive one. So, when separately speaking, you can say, what is her? You will say it is the third person feminine, possessive oblique objective case. When separately you are asked, what is Muslimin? You can say it is either the possessive or the objective case. But when it is in the sentence, then there is no R. You have to be clear that in this construction, this is the objective case, and in this construction, it is the possessive case. I'rab is the status of a noun in an Arabic construction. Similarly, to be more clear about this Muslimun, to understand this concept very clearly, I wrote it Muslims. Now I am writing Muslimuna and Muslimina. How you will spell it? M-U-S-L-I-M. Muslimuna. And Muslimuna can be written like this also. Agree? Nadeem, do you agree with me?
Yes.
Then this is Muslimina. And this can also be written like this. And Musli. It is just the change of Arab, but what I want to indicate is that only the change in vowel has changed the Arab. This is M-U-S-L-I-M. This is double O-N-A and this is double E-N-A.
How would you pronounce the other one? The way we have written it.
Same, pronunciation being the same. This is also Muslimun, this is also Muslimun, this is also Muslimin, and this is also Muslimin.
Oh, but we're doing Muslimuna.
Do it like this. You know, in 1977 in Pakistan, there was a movement against the Prime Minister of that time. The movement was known as Nizam-e-Mustafa movement. The movement to implement Islamic order in the country. The Prime Minister of that time, he was the victim of that movement. So finally he was cornered and he implemented certain things. Instead of Sunday, Friday was declared to be the holiday, and gambling and drinking was banned. Then addressing the press conference, he announced these things and he said that the opposition wants Islam, and yes, look, I have implemented Islam. What more they want? Now there was an aged journalist, he asked, sir, this is not the whole Islam. In Islam there is no concept of president and prime minister. There is always an Amirul Mu'mineen. Then Mr. Prime Minister replied very beautifully, then make me the Amirul Mu'mineen. So just put a fatah over here. That is just a way of writing. You can write it like this, you can write it like this, you can write it like this, you can write it like this. But in both the cases, one difference is there, and that difference is of expression. I said the noun is expressed in such a way that indicates that it is the subjective form or the objective form. So Muslim, you have to pronounce Mim, Sin, Lam, Mim, Noon. Mim, Sin, Lam, Mim, Noon. It's only the movement of Mim. Whether you do it mu or mi, rest is the same. Only this change in the expression, how you pronounce the word. When you say Muslim Muna, it is different Arab. And when you say Muslimina, it's a different Arab. Arabic in principle is the game of Arab, in principle. If you understand the concept of Arab correctly, you know Arabic. Rest are the details. But if you don't understand this very concept, you may fill your brain with the vocabulary and you make your brain a dictionary of Arabic language, you don't know Arabic. So take as much time as possible till you understand this concept.
So the second form is object and the possessive noun.
You forget, for the time being, you forget about this detail. Just understand that the form has changed. And what changes have taken place? Only the way of expressing it. Muslimuna, Muslimina, only that much is a change. How it is written this way or that way, that is the second question.
Does that make any difference?
No, that doesn't make any difference. Muslimin can be written this way also, this way also.
Meaning remains the same.
Meaning remain the same.
Oh, you're right.
But main thing is the sound. How you pronounce, how you express. Muslimuna, you move the meme in the reverse direction. Muslimuna. And then you bring it, pull it down. Muslimina. That is the change. But the thing is, Muslimun, if I omit the vowel sound in between and only I pronounce the consonants, that is Muslimn, and then between the M sound and the N sound there has to be some vowel, and that vowel determines the i'rab. In this case, now we take the singular form. The singular of the Muslims is Muslim. In Arabic, again there will be N sound in the end. So in three forms the Arabic translation of the word Muslim will be, what's the difference? Only the change of vowels. Look, everything being the same except a vowel before the last N sound. Here also there was a vowel before the last N sound. In the end again there is a vowel which is common. Here it also it's A, here also it's A, but the last consonant was N, and just before N the vowel sound was different. The vowel was different, which determined the i'rab. Here also the last is the N sound and the vowel sound determines the i'rab. If it is Muslimun, it is subjective form. If it is Musliman, it is the objective form. If it is Muslimin, this is the possessive form. Now according to sound, if we write it, Muslimun, Musliman and Muslimin. But practically it is not written like this. This N sound is produced by some other way. That's a way of writing, and that is the tanween is used, the double harakat is used. Double dhamma, then Musliman. Remember this. Double fatha is always written on an alif. That's like fawran, taqreeban, you know it already. A Muslim, right? A Muslim. Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin. So in the end there is an N sound, and before the N sound there is a change of i'rab, change of the vowel, which determines the i'rab. In final conclusion, what is important? It is the expression, it is the pronunciation which determines the i'rab. You pronounce the same word by slightly pulling in this direction, it will indicate that this is the subjective form. You will slightly pull it down, it will indicate you that this is the possessive form, and you slightly pull it upwards, it will indicate you that this is the objective form. That like in English, in pronouns the rule is different. In the case of noun the rule is different.
Now what I mean to say, let's say instead of Muslims it was kafirun.
Yeah, same
Same rule will apply.
if they are of the same category. The plural of this category will follow this rule, the singular of this category will follow this rule, and if the plural is of some other category, then it has got its own rule, which we will study in detail in the subject of number. But now we are just to understand in principle what is i'rab.
الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله